Good morning. It's good to be with you on this Friday morning. It's great to continue together in our time in Ruth. Today we're going to be reading Ruth uh, chapter one. We're going to finish out chapter one, and we're going to read. If you've gone to a funeral that I've done, you may have heard me read part of this passage because this is one of my favorite funeral passages. So let's read. Let's read Ruth one, chapter six, chapter one, verses 6 through 22. When Naomi heard in Moab that the Lord had come to the aid of his people by providing food for them, she and her daughters-in-law prepared to return home from there. With her two daughters-in-law, she left the place where she had been living and set out on the road that would take them back to the land of Judah. Then Naomi said to her two daughters-in-law, "Go back, each of you, to your mother's home. May the Lord show you kindness as you have shown kindness to your dead husbands and to me." Once again, we start seeing kindness begin to be a huge theme in this book. May the Lord grant each of you will find rest in the home of another husband. She kissed them goodbye, and they wept aloud and said to her, "We will go back to you and to your people." But Naomi said, "Return home, my daughters. Why would you come with me? Am I going to have more sons who could become your husbands? Return home, my daughters. I am too old to have another husband. And even if I thought there was still hope for me, even if I had a husband tonight and gave birth to sons, would you wait until they grow up? Would you remain unmarried for them? No, my daughters. It is more bitter for me than for you because the Lord's hand has turned against me." Okay? You see the other theme in Ruth, bitterness. At this, they wept aloud again. Then Oprah kissed her mother-in-law goodbye, but Ruth clung to her. "Look," said Naomi, "your sister-in-law is going back to her people and to her God to go back with her." But Ruth replied, "Don't urge me to leave you or turn back from you. Where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord deal with me, be it ever so severely, if even death separates me from you, you from me." When Naomi realized Ruth was determined to go with her, she stopped urging her. So the two women went until they came to Bethlehem. When they arrived in Bethlehem, the whole town was stirred because of them. And the women exclaimed, "Can this be Naomi?" "Do not call me Naomi," she said. She told them, "Call me Mara, because the Lord has made my life very bitter. I went away full, but the Lord has brought me back empty. Why call me Naomi? The Lord has afflicted me, and the Almighty hath brought misfortune upon me." So Naomi turned from Moab, accompanied by Ruth the Moabite, her daughter-in-law, arriving in Bethlehem as the barley harvest was beginning. Okay. So here we see such a powerful scene. Starts off with Ruth hearing, I'm sorry, Naomi hearing that the Lord had provided food to her people, and so they were going to return home. And the daughters-in-law cling to her. Oprah says, "I will stay." Now Ruth says, "I will stay," and she says, "No, no, I have nothing. I have nothing for you. I have nothing for you. Um, you have shown me kindness. You have shown my family kindness, but I have nothing to give you." And then verse 13, she says, "No, stay with your people. It's more bitter for me than for you because the Lord has turned against me." She feels as though the Lord has turned against her. And so she comes into town. They'll come out and chant, "Naomi, Naomi." And she says, "Don't call me Naomi. Call me Mara. For the Lord has dealt bitterly with me." I was at a funeral and I was in Ripley almost 20 years ago now. I heard a preacher preach. I don't know who, I don't remember his name. He was a preacher at First Baptist Oxford a million years ago. And he preached on this text and it stuck with me. And I've tried to meditate upon it. And I've said this at funerals. Don't let grief change your name. See, in the Bible, your name isn't just what they called you, but your name was who you are. Think about in scripture, friends, how many times God changes someone's name. Abram to Abraham, Sarah to Sarah, Saul to Paul, Simon to Peter. The book of Revelation says we'll have a new name in heaven. So your name isn't just what they called you, but your name was the very heart of who you were. So when Naomi says, "Don't call me Naomi. Don't call me Naomi. Call me Mara." What she's saying is that she has changed. She's not the same person. She's bitter. She's bitter. She has had tremendous suffering, as much suffering as probably anyone but Job in the Bible. Lost her husband, lost her sons, lost him. Anyways, probably felt like she lost her faithfulness. And I wonder if she felt like the Lord is bitter against her because of them going to Moab, which they were told not to do. So does she feel like she has just received God's judgment? Does she feel bitter because she feels like she's just received God's judgment over everything, judgment after judgment, that the Lord has turned against her? And so in our life, as we said yesterday, we're gonna have suffering. And if we enter into 2025 not expecting to have any suffering at all, or not expecting to have any pain at all, or just expecting things to be perfect, we're gonna find ourselves disappointed, and we're gonna find ourselves bitter because we're gonna have times of pain and suffering in this new year. We're gonna have that. We're gonna have suffering and pain. And so it's we can't let grief change our name. We can't let grief change our name because we lose who we are in that, friends. Bitterness is a corrosive evil that rots away at our soul. Bitterness robs us of hope. It robs us of the ability to love. It robs us of the ability to show grace. Bitterness is a corrosive evil. And we have to release it. We can't allow the slings and arrows, the pain, the loss, the hurt that we feel or experience to change our name. We can't let it change our name, friends. I'm not saying that we won't or shouldn't or can't experience pain or loss because we will. We will. We will experience those things in very sharp, uncontrollable ways sometimes. But we can't let it change who we are. How do we do that? Easier said than done, preacher. Easier said than done. How do we not do that? Well, I think we have to stay rooted and grounded in what we see here, this kindness of God. Why do you think I call this reflections rooted? Because we have to stay rooted in Jesus, friends, because if we don't, the winds and the waves will knock us over. The famines, the droughts, the pain, the loss, it will topple us. And if we stay rooted in bitterness, whatever we plant ourselves in, whatever soil we plant ourselves in will be the what feeds us. And do you want to have your life and your soul fed by bitterness, power, any of these things? That is that if that's where you plant yourself in, it's what will feed you and nourish you, and you don't want that bitter fruit. We have to stay rooted in the kindness and the goodness and the gentleness of Jesus. This book is a story of what do we choose to root ourselves in. Do we choose to root ourselves in bitterness? Or do we choose to root ourselves in kindness? And that's what we're going to see play out right now when this story starts. Naomi is firmly rooted in bitterness. She says, do not call me Naomi. Call me Mara. We're going to suffer at times, friends. Don't let grief change your name. Stay rooted in Jesus. Don't let grief change your name. All right. Well, Monday we're going to pick up with chapter 2. Hope you have a great weekend. See you Monday.